over the year preceding the investigation, the execution of Mr. Khashoggi, a number of other human rights violations have been documented and have been denounced. There is no way the leaders of that state, including the Crown Prince, were not aware of those violations. In fact, there is evidence, credible evidence, pointing to their involvement. What needs to be investigated is the extent to which the Crown Prince knew or should have known of what would have happened to Mr. Khashoggi, whether he directly or indirectly incited the killing, whether he acted without due diligence, whether he could have prevented the execution when the mission started and failed to do so. Given the evidence warranting international investigation, criminal investigation into the responsibility of the Crown Prince, it is a logical step for me to be asking for him to be included in the sanctions until and unless there is evidence provided that he was not involved, didn't know, should not have known of the execution. I concluded that the United States may not have failed in its responsibility to protect and to warn Mr. Khashoggi. This being said, I did raise a couple of concerns. It seems improbable to me that intercept originating from the Crown Prince would not have been analyzed, particularly if they included some trigger words such as a bullet, for instance. I find it hard to believe that such an intercept would not have been analyzed at the time it was intercepted. That killing, the execution of Mr. Khashoggi, violated a range of international law provisions. It violated, of course, the prohibition against arbitrary killing. It violated the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. It violated the prohibition against the extraterritorial use of force in times of peace. It violated the prohibition against enforced disappearances, and it may have violated the Convention against Torture. So the circumstances of that execution, in my view, make it a particularly important case for universal jurisdictions.
The UN Special Rapporteur on extrajudicial executions, Agnes Callamard, released a report today providing her detailed findings of her investigation into the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. The report situated the killing of Jamal Khashoggi within the context of ongoing Saudi repression, of which we've seen a dramatic increase since Mohammed bin Salman became Crown Prince in 2017. In the midst of this massive campaign and crackdown against dissidents, activists, and others, the murder of Khashoggi took place, and she rightly notes that the Crown Prince, while there isn't direct smoking gun evidence of his involvement in the murder, there is some culpability due to the fact that he either approved or tolerated an ongoing campaign against dissidents and activists in his own country.
A Shia from the Eastern Province, but the thing that was unique about his case is, if you look at the charge sheet, it's very clear that he was 10 or 11.
The report provides a lot of new information about the nature of the killing that we didn't know before, and as such, it should give some renewed momentum to the possibility of further investigations into the matter, hopefully by the UN Secretary General. That's what Human Rights Watch is calling for. But it also should hopefully provide additional pressure on Saudi Arabia to provide more transparency into the trial of 11 individuals accused of killing Jamal Khashoggi, as well as perhaps open it up to international investigation.
Not even a hearing, they just like, here's the sentence, you know what I mean? But we've seen that.
Human Rights Watch is calling on both members of the Human Rights Council in Geneva, as well as the UN Security Council and the UN Secretary General, to look at all measures for holding Saudi Arabia accountable for the murder of Jamal Khashoggi and further investigating the role of top officials, including MBS, into the killing.
I don't think that there's enormous incentive on, for MBS to make.
The Special Rapporteur, Agnes Callamard, noted in her report that one of the drawbacks was that she did not have full cooperation from Turkey, and she had hardly any cooperation from Saudi Arabia into her investigation. And that's one of the reasons why this needs follow-up. It needs more attention, and we need to get to the bottom of the role of top Saudi leaders in this murder.
She's citing from these recordings that she heard, which is interesting.